to Cross Ice Pass, episode 27. I'm your host, Coach Steve, and holy crap, we made it. We just finished up the regular season, and we're going to have one heck of a playoff in front of us. We've got some things to talk about, though, before we talk about that. First off, since last episode, the last week in the NHL has been so crazy for the playoffs. We had the Flyers up, then down, Isles up, then down. The Wings were battling with the Pens and Caps. When the smoke settled in the East, there was maybe 10 minutes of the most intense watching hockey I've ever seen in my life outside of playoffs, which was this 3-second remaining goal by David Perron to tie it against the Habs to take us into overtime, which I'm literally watching this thing on two different TVs. I'm at my favorite place in New York City, the Canuck, watching these games with so many different fans from so many different backgrounds, and so many different emotions, people yelling at each other, glasses being broken. It's unreal. It was the wildest moment I've ever seen in my life. Habs tie it up. I got this guy. I got a guy in my back who loves the Habs, who's from New York. His father was a Habs fan. He's talking. He's literally basically giving me color commentary to every move the Habs are making, and I'm like, please, just take it down like 3 levels here. I'm like with my hat on my head. My eyes are ready to explode. Hoping and praying that the Flyers score just to make to upset the Caps, because I know that the Red Wings are really good in overtime. I know the Red Wings are really good in shootout. But as we saw, John Tortorella did a normal John Tortorella thing. Also, how could he know how to really align the stars for Detroit? But he didn't. TJ Oshie scores an empty netter. Showtime gets a goal in the shootout as usual for the Red Wings. Panthers, Bolts, Bees, and Leafs trying to figure out who's going to be playing each other. Every emotion in a person happened to me within that 10 minutes, basically, or that hour or so. Because of course we found out that the Bruins are going to be playing the Leafs and the Panthers are going to be playing the Bolts, which is great. It's great for all four of those organizations and their location and the rivalries that have been built up between them. On Wednesday, I was entirely shot. Happy, sad, worn out, everything. I had ended up having to go play beer league. Thankfully, we won the game, but also there were other things happening. Like there was tons of jockeying happening in the West to see who would play each other. Because the Golden Knights jumped, and the Golden Knights now are down. So, wow. Holy crap, man. All I can say is, and I'm not gonna drive it into the ground because it's time for playoffs, and there's other things that happen in hockey this week. All I can say is I'm proud of my Wings. They blew it when Larkin was injured. They need a few drastic changes in this offseason, and they have to throw big money at Moritz Seider, Lucas Raymond, and Patrick Kane. And hopefully we'll get maybe another defenseman and whatever. Maybe a goalie. Anyway, I'll talk about that more after the playoffs are over. We'll get into Wings talk then. End of the Coyotes. The Coyotes are no more, and the team is moving to Utah. I'm sure everyone's heard this. If you watch or even have a molecule of thought towards hockey, you probably have heard about this. First off, all hockey fans need to start being more empathetic to other regions and other locations. I was really unhappy with how people reacted to the Arizona Coyotes, kind of being a little mean about it. Like, oh, well, it was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. Who cares? Of course it was not. Of course this was going to happen. It was like Arizona was just not going to happen. The owner's terrible. We know he's terrible. The Yotes owner does have a chance in 5 years, but there's so many friggin' stipulations. Like he is the only person that can relocate the team. There's so many weird things that are happening in this Arizona Coyotes story, but I want to keep it simple. Arizona spent 28 years creating a fan base in the desert. In the desert. Which created the likes of superstars such as Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk, because his dad was playing there when Matt was born. Tage Thompson was born in Arizona. We're talking superstars in our league came from Arizona. Even Austin Matthews in 2016 was quoted, "The Coyotes are the reason I started playing hockey." He even said he'd probably be playing basketball or baseball or something else. But Biz Nasty on Spittin' Chicklets, but also on TNT, mentioned on TNT, and he was pretty choked up. Gave a massive shout out for the hockey community in Arizona and how they brought him in and how they were welcoming to him. And it's sad to see a community like Arizona grow as a hockey community, and now at the NHL level they're kind of not there. Also, the weirdest thing that happened, Arizona, like the Arizona fans were trying to have a bit of like a tailgate celebration, and everything got canceled. What the heck is up? Like all the political leaders in Scottsdale, in Phoenix, in those areas, have pushed this stuff away. These rich owners have pushed this stuff away from the fans who needed it. I hope Arizona. I don't know if Arizona will ever get an NHL team again. I think it'd be great to see minor league hockey in Arizona. I know they have Arizona University, and they have a huge following. So, much love to fans out in Arizona, and much love to the players that came from there. And cheers to more to hearing about more players getting drafted outside of those programs in Arizona. So, we're ready to go with that. It's time for playoffs. We have our 16 teams, we have our matchups, and we have our schedules. I'll do a brief touch of every series, just because I'm not going to dive deep into each one and stuff like that, because I have simple thoughts on most of it. First off, I want to note that I picked the Stars to win the Cup in episode 3. I just want to say that. I picked the Stars to win the Cup in episode 3 because I said they got all the components. And I've been saying that as a coach throughout the entire season. I've been hard on the Edmonton Oilers, and I'm going to pick teams that have an opportunity that have all the components. When I say all the components, it's simple. Great coaching, great offense. Offense is a simple one. Secondly, hard to play defense. Not just a good offensive defense, hard to play defense. And goaltenders that are consistent. Not a goaltender that can win a series. I want a goaltender that can win a cup. So I want to be very clear about that explanation. The first one I'm going to talk about is, because I'm already there, Stars versus Golden Knights. It's a rematch of last year's conference final. I got the Stars in 6 because I think Vegas had to fight for a month to barely get into the playoffs. They've got health issues with Mark Stone. Hurdle's just back from injury. I know that they put a lot of money towards to try to repeat this cup. I don't think it's going to happen. Stars have built a cup winner, and as I've said before, you got to lose before you win. The Lightning lost. 1. The Knights lost, 1. The Blackhawks lost, 1. The Kings lost, 1. It was going to happen. Even the Avalanche, even though they were great in the 90s and early 2000s, they lost a lot to build up to where they are now. So, the Stars went to the Cup final. The Stars went to the conference final last year. All their components are ready. And it's Mike McDonald Trophy year, so maybe that's a good luck charm in Dallas. So Dallas in 6. Avs versus Jets. I have the Avs in 5. This is only because their recent Cup win, and they're pretty much that team. I would love the Jets to prove me wrong because they have been poking a bit at greatness, but just poking. Even their coach is hard on them throughout the season. Bonus has called them out many times throughout the season when they're playing terrible. And you can't have that if you really, got to get there. I would love the Jets to prove me wrong, but I think the Avs, and I hate saying that as a Red Wings fan, I think the Avs are going to win in 5. Canucks versus the Predators. I got the Canucks in 6. Preds have a decent team, but I think Vancouver has struck lightning here, and I think they have a stronger strategy than they did in previous years. They got a great coach, probably a Jack Adams winner, and Rick Tocchet, a super young and creative defensive team. They've got strong goaltending and 4 huge scorers up front in JT Miller, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, and I forgot the other one. I might be only 3. But Preds will be better next year after this series loss. UC Saros is, younger. The Predators were terrible leading into this year. I think the Predators this year is just kind of shown that they are on the right trajectory to be a very good team next year. And I think they'll still be hard to play against. I don't think the Canucks are gonna have it so easy. Oilers versus Kings. This is the 3rd year in a row that these teams have matched up in the playoffs. The Oilers have won all times. Would I love to say Kings in 5? Yes. Because I've been calling out the Oilers all year about their lack of defense and their lack of goaltending. But I'm going to say Oilers in 7 again. McDavid, he's been scratched and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe he's not 100%. I don't know. But I do know Zach Hyman has had a heck of a year. And even with a terrible back end in the Oilers organization, and Stuart Skinner is one of those goaltenders that could win a series against a team that doesn't have really high-level goaltending. Cam Talbot has had a year. He was an all-star, but he's 39, and I just don't think he's got it anymore. I don't think there's a high level of goaltending in this series, and I think it's going to be interesting. Oilers will lose in the second round for sure. They're going to beat the Kings, but they're not going to get any further than that. In the East, Rangers versus Caps. I could sit here. I'm going to wear a Rangers hat because I'm not a big Caps fan. I just want to announce that too. I'm a Red Wings fan. I'm a fan of hockey first. I love the sport, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is. But I don't like Caps fans. I don't like Penguins fans. I don't like Flyers fans a lot, and I don't like Avs fans. That's like normal for Red Wings people. So I'm not going to sit here and pat you on the back because your team, congratulations, made it. I don't care. You won on an empty netter, and you're going off fumes, Caps. So the Rangers are going to destroy you. Lindgren is a good luck charm in net, but can he really keep up with a team that's as offensively gifted as the Rangers? I don't think so. And the Caps haven't played any really offensively gifted teams in the last 10 games. he's stood on his head against teams that were by the skin of their teeth. So the Rangers Caps series this year is 2-2, but I don't think that really means anything to the fact that the Rangers have went up and the Caps went up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down. The Caps have 2 players over 60 points, and that's because Ovi, one of the greatest goal scorers to ever live, has been hot the last month or two. But the Rangers have 4 over 70 points. Their only threat defensively for the Capitals is Carlson. Carlson is not the same player he used to be. While the Blue Shirts have a strong core that love to shoot the puck. The defense, a Peter Laviolette defense loves to shoot. So Lindgren better, he's going to be getting shots from his brother on the blue line. And, he's already said it would crush him if he got scored on by his brother. But I like the compete in the guy. He's got a great mustache as well. Caps made 0 moves at the deadline, while the Rangers got even stronger with Roslovic and I forget the other guy. But the Caps didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. The Caps are if a best of 7 series could end in less than 4 games in some way, the Caps would probably just be easier that way. Caps, you can kind of figure it out next year. No way this goes past 4 games. Rangers fans, bring your brooms with you in game 1 because they're going to work through the whole time. I expect high scoring games from the Rangers. I would like to see 3 of the 4 games the Rangers win by 3 or 4 goals. I think it's that crazy, and I'm that aggressive about it. Isles versus Canes. Who does Waugh start? That's the number one thing that we're asking in this series. And is that the difference? The only plus the Isles have over the Canes is better goaltending. Having Varlamov and Sorokin is awesome. The Canes also have a great goaltender, but he's young and inexperienced, and I don't think that's going to help the Canes in further series. The Canes are loaded up front. They got great defense. They got Dougie Hamilton this year from the Devils. The Canes are going to be fine. And I think the Canes are going to definitely beat the Isles, but I think goaltending will keep this series 6 games, but I think the Canes are going to win. I think Sorokin or Varlamov could win a game off of their performance, but I don't see the Islanders getting out of this series. Leafs versus Bruins. The Leafs avoided the Bruins last year again before blowing it again. Marchand, of course, already is talking smack about the Leafs rivalry. Says the Leafs rivalry is more important than the Habs, and Marchand, he likes to poke fingers. I like that guy. He just knows how to say the right things at the right times. And he's gotten better at it over the years because he's said and done stupid things before. But I think his experience is showing. Leafs have very questionable goaltending and defense. Very questionable goaltending and defense. I'm so sick of hearing and seeing this problem. I want the Toronto Maple Leafs to win a Stanley Cup in my lifetime. I would even like to say I would like the Toronto Maple Leafs to win a Stanley Cup in the next 10 years. I'm 45. I'd like to see them win one before I'm 50. I think it'd be great for the sport to have Toronto win, even though this year there's been a lot of talk about how terrible their fans can be. But listen, a Toronto Maple Leafs versus Edmonton Oilers final would be wild and amazing. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I would love it to, but reality is reality, and the Leafs are not. And I love Austin Matthews, and I love the year he's had. and I think he deserves it. But yeah, it's not going to happen. Boston beat them 4 times in the regular season. Also, Boston has had another stellar season and hasn't gotten past the second round in a while. And I think they're gonna work real hard, not only to beat the Leafs, but to try to beat the Panthers if they get there. So I got the Bruins in 6 over the Leafs. Last one is the Panthers Bolts. The Panthers have spent recent years kind of being stopped by the 3-time Cup appearances of the Bolts. And given they didn't have to face Tampa last year, the Panthers showed their way to the Stanley Cup final. But I think last year's huge series against the Bruins, the Panthers are, as I said for this about the Stars, as I said about the Rangers, I think the Panthers, Rangers, and Stars are the top 3 teams in this playoffs here in the playoffs this year, and they have every aspect that I mentioned. The I don't think this game's gonna go. I think the Panthers are gonna win this series in 5. I don't think the Lightning, even with Kucherov having the year he had, even with Vasilevsky still being a young goaltender, I don't know. I think the Panthers are going to win. I think it's going to be tough for them. I just think it's going to be only 5 games. It could go 7. I don't know. But I think it's going to be 5. Because the Panthers have really kind of run them throughout the season. So yeah, that's my playoff picks for the first round. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm hoping by the next episode we'll have some idea on some of these ideas of mine. And again, anybody can come hard at me and question my experience and the things that I've said on this. But listen, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to say I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm gonna point my finger right between your eyes and tell you you're wrong. So come at me, bro. I don't care. Last international team, and the reason I'm really happy this kind of lined up. There's a lot of talk about who's going to be on what world championship teams. A lot of players already that aren't making the playoffs are already kind of talking about playing. Darlene is one of them. And there was a thing today talking about Bedard is one of them. They were talking about what if Crosby and Bedard and McAfee kind of all get together in the World Championship. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. That Celebrini, I mean, is going to play with Bedard and Crosby. I don't think Crosby's going to do it. Anyway, you never know. But this week is, of course, the team we've been all waiting for, which is Team Canada, which today announced, because it's Friday when I'm on this recording, April 19th, just so you know, just announcing today that Dirty Kyle Dubas will be the associate GM to Jim Nill for the World Championships. I think that's interesting. So I don't know what Kyle Dubas is going to come up with. Maybe he can get Sidney Crosby, but they don't seem like they like each other, just in my mind. But I don't know. I'm wrong. So my international team, and I'm talking Olympics here, folks. And maybe this will end up kind of construing itself into the World Championship or the 4 Nations next year or something like that. But of course, line 1, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Zach Hyman. I put Hyman. I was very specific on this team because I had a lot of choices. I could actually be specific with things. Zach Hyman and Connor McDavid have been the best 1-2 punch all year. And why wouldn't you put them together and then put McKinnon over on the other side, just driving pucks to the net? Maybe Bedard goes there. I don't know. I don't know if I got Connor Bedard in the second line. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the top 2 lines, being on the top 2 lines by the time the Olympics rolls around. I don't know if that's going to be the case next year for the Four Nations. But I got Connor Bedard, Braden Point, Mitchell Marner on the second line. Third line, I've got Steven Stamkos purely because of experience. I think that's important. He's still going to be somewhat young. I've got Sam Reinhart and Sidney Crosby. Curious if Sidney Crosby can stay as competitive as he was this year in 2 years. And that includes the World Championship this year. That includes next year's Four Nations. That includes the Olympics in 2 years. So I don't know. We'll see. He might be digging to try to finish his career as an Olympian and finish his career as a Penguin and retire. And that will be his retirement year. Fourth line is, I'm going to get a lot of questions on this. I got Mark Scheifele with Carter Verhaeghe and Rob Thomas. If you watch these guys play, they're hard to play against, and you can't just have everybody based on skill. You can't do that. And that includes, there's so many extra players that you could put on this team. I've got Tyler Toffoli, John Tavares, even though he won't make he'll be too old. Jordan Kyrou, Nick Suzuki, Jonathan Marchessault, Brad Marchand, obviously another one that's going to be too old probably by the Olympics. Dylan Cousins, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Mark Stone, Tyler Seguin, and I know I'm missing more, but man, talk about a loaded list to pull from. Pretty amazing. Defense for Canada, I got Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey starting the first line. But there's a lot of mixed ones here that are interesting that I've already seen people kind of guess what they think the Team Canada could look like. I think Jacob Chychrun and Owen Power would be awesome on the second line. On D, Dougie Hamilton and Cole Perfetti. I think Cole Perfetti's very underrated player, and I think he will do very well next year. It would be great to see him in the World Championship this year. But then we got also the extras there: Morgan Riley, Bowen Byram, Chris Letang, who will probably be too old for the Olympics. Brent Burns, also another one, maybe too old for the Olympics. Drew Doughty could squeak in from his past experience. Alex Pietrangelo will be a good vet if they decide to have him. Then you got Thomas Chabot and Shea Theodore. So lots of great D choices, but I'll stick with my 6 I have. The third one that's difficult is goaltending. Not a ton of Canadian goaltenders, so I shuffled this up a little bit. People will think that Aiden Hill or Stuart Skinner will be the guys. I think they will too, but I think there is a Canadian goaltender that was one of the highest drafted Canadian goaltenders in recent times that hasn't played the NHL yet, but he will for the Red Wings in probably next year, as early as next year. Possibly Sebastian Cossa could make this team. I don't think he'll make the Four Nations team. He might be able to play in the World Championship since Skinner and Hill are already taken. Jordan Binnington has talked about playing the World Championship. I don't like Jordan Binnington. I don't think he's that good. So I'm sorry, St. Louis. I love the St. Louis Blues. I love the St. Louis Blues players, but I dislike Jordan Binnington. He reminds me just as much I disliked Patrick Waugh when he played. So he's just kind of an a-hole, and a bit of a tool. So the extras I have there behind Aiden Hill, Cossa, and Skinner are Darcy Kemper and Tristan Jarry. So there you go. World Championships are upon us. We'll cover some of the players heading to the tourney in the next episode for sure. But those are kind of my list as they stand now for where things can go for the World Championship, where things could go for Four Nations, where things could go for the Olympics. So feel free to go back through certain episodes, past episodes, because I went through every team very specifically as I could without wasting too much time on it. This week's happy, surprising, not surprising, and pretty unusual. Happy. Huge upset for Denver to beat BC 2-0 in the College Hockey National Championship. Even with Cutter Gauthier, who is already becoming a D-bag in our minds, in our eyes. Pre-game, he promised the juggernaut that he would win. Denver won. Denver has been one of the best college hockey teams, championship-wise, in the last decade, and they showed that experience from the coach's perspective down, which I think coaching is so important in college hockey, because you're developing these players. They're dealing with school. They're dealing with all this stuff. That happens in juniors as well, but I really think college programs now are being able to put a lot of revenue into building these players, into pros, into professionals outside of hockey. Touted as the first pick this year in the upcoming draft, Macklin Celebrini wins the Hobie Baker in his freshman season by scoring 32 goals, 32 apples, and 38 games played. And he turns 18 in June. He turns 18 in June, folks. Unbelievable. He plays like he's 2 years older. Yes, when he comes to the NHL, he's going to get knocked around, probably get injured like Bedard with the fishbowl, probably get knocked down like Jack Hughes. I can talk for days about these little guys with all the hands in the world that when they play actually against grown men have a real hard time. What else we got? Oh, the completion of the college season has created a lot of drafted players and undrafted players getting snagged up by everything from NHL teams down to AHL teams to ECHL teams, even some foreign leagues like the Swedish Elite League, stuff like that are grabbing guys, even the KHL. So it's an interesting thing. We'll talk maybe earlier in the season, next season, about this college turnover thing, because I'm not really happy when someone signs to it, gets a full ride scholarship, goes to a school, and then goes to another school. I can get it for their development, but I don't know. Last few happies are big congrats. One moment. Congrats to Ovi being the first player to record 18 30-goal seasons. He's the first goal scorer to ever do that. He's chipping away at this Gretzky record that he's trying to beat. Even though Matthews will eventually jump past that and beat him, but congrats to Ovi. He's been a great player, a fun guy to watch. He made me mad by beating the Flyers, especially with his little smirks. Definitely made me not like him for a bit, but congrats, Ovi. Congrats to Sid the Kid for moving into the top 10 and scoring. He's still nearly 130 points from Mario, but you never know after the year he had. He had a great year, Sidney Crosby did. And if he has 2 more years like he did this year, or even remotely close, he will surpass Mario Lemieux. The other guy on the list is Ron Francis. Ron Francis he played a little bit for the Penguins. I think of, if Sid surpasses Mario, that's more saying that Sid would be the top scoring Penguin. Because Ron Francis, more of a, Hurricanes Whalers guy. Surprising. This is also happy. USA Hockey has over 100,000 females registered to play hockey for the first time ever. I say it all the time, and people off the show hear me say this. Women are saving our game. The girls' game, the women's game is saving hockey. It's saving the popularity of it. It's saving the importance of it. And we're doing everything in, the PWHL and internationally is growing. You're seeing women's leagues all over the world get press and notoriety and things like that. This is such great news because as a coach, I am seeing youth players not signing up, and it's great to see that these young women, these women are really pushing the needle forward for our game. What did I put here? Even with one team in a small college arena. Oh, there we go. The NHL set an attendance record. Sorry, I wrote that kind of fast. The NHL set an attendance record with 22,560,364 attendees. The reason I said small college is that even with one of their NHL teams playing in a college arena, the NHL broke the attendance record, and that's pretty great. Still too expensive to go to a pro sports game, but whatever. Last surprising thing, legendary Bruins voice Jack Edwards will retire after the playoffs. He's had his up and downs lately, just because he said some I'll call it older guy things that people weren't really happy about. I don't want to dive too deep into that, but Jack Edwards is a legendary voice of the Bruins, and given my pick and the Bruins, maybe taking the right steps this playoffs, we'll see. Maybe Jack will be able to announce them in the conference final or Stanley Cup final. Not surprising. My favorite not surprising one this week is Yager surpassed Gordie Howe to become the oldest player taking regular shifts in professional hockey. The reason they have to say the oldest player taking professional shifts in hockey is because Gordie Howe played in 1997 with the Detroit Vipers. He only played one shift, though. The crazy part about this for Yager is that he signed up, they're in the playoffs, and as in true Yager fashion, he scores on the first shift. So bravo to Yager. What a year he has had, and to have his name put together with a true great like Gordie Howe is pretty awesome. Jeremy Lauzon has broke the record for most hits in an NHL season for the Predators with 383. Man, that's nuts. Moritz Seider had 200 this year, and that was pretty high. But 383 hits, man, he's gonna make it hard on the Canucks for sure. So, congrats on that accomplishment, and I hope you have ice bags on your shoulders at all times. Don Granato was fired in Buffalo. This is what's happening. It's obvious. Buffalo was expected to do much better this year than they did, and it didn't work out. Usually the coach is the first one to go in that situation. Craig Berube or even Joel Quenneville could be an option in the off season. We'll have to see what happens there. Unusual. The wildest thing with all this Coyote stuff that came about was Shane Doan's number 19 banner was recovered from a dumpster and returned to him. Why was it thrown away in the first place? Like, the news report doesn't really clarify a lot of things like that. So anyway, another unusual thing, and it's a Sabres thing. Not sure if it's going to happen. Terry Pegula, who is part of course, a legendary family that has the Pegula Arena at Penn State, and they're all Penn State folks, might sell the Sabres. We'll have to see what's going on there. Keep your eyes peeled on all the platforms to see. That moving to my other segment. The chase for the Stanley Cup is on. And if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. That I haven't approached in a bit. The hockey coach who is a designer. Utah leaked their trademark possible names as Venom, Fury, HC, or Hockey Club, and there was only one that, and then also Blizzard. I also want to mention that there's two monikers that they already have in Utah, and I don't know how that works if it's been used before or not. But the Utah Grizzlies, I think even the Utah like youth program is the Grizzlies, and then also the Golden Eagles were a team throughout the years in the minors. I think here's my thing about it. Blizzard sounds cool, it really does, but Utah is right next to Colorado, and the Blizzard and the Avalanche. The Blizzard play the Avalanche. It sounds like a weather report. Um, I think the Grizzlies are a good choice, but the Bruins and the Wild kind of owning the Bear moniker. So we're gonna have a third team that's a Bear moniker or logo or something. My most upset one, the one that makes me upset the most, is Utah HC. Please, hockey, stop thinking that it's smart because there's already one in New York. New York Hockey Club. It's stupid. I'm sorry. That is a soccer thing. Soccer calls their clubs football clubs. Hockey clubs don't need to have that. They do it in Europe a little bit. Please don't do that in North America. I'm already upset the PWHL teams. PWHL like league is so great, but they can't put a name on the team because the cities or whatever crap that doesn't work. Another name, please don't call it Utah Hockey Club. I think that's stupid. Another name they already used is the Golden Eagles, but again, Utah's not very far from Nevada, and you got the Golden Eagles and the Golden Knights. How much golden things can you have? Utah Eagles could be cool, but then you got the football team in Philly. It's a real issue, and they better. I want to know by the end of the playoffs what to think about Utah. Other than all these Instagram posts I see by the NHL with really great, beautiful, landscapes and stuff. I don't care about the fact Utah is a beautiful state. I don't care. I want to know what their team's going to be called. Please help me. Today's interview, I know it's a bit with the playoffs and everything is a little bit to get through, but today's guest was on episode 4, and given his journey and our discussion at the time, I've been in touch with him ever since. When I see his team doing well, I give him a little nudge. He's a great guy, and I got to talk to him just before his season started in the ECHL. But a lot has happened throughout his ECHL season. Ryan is an example of the steps hundreds of thousands of minor pro players take to follow their dreams. It's never as shiny as the NHL players. Not to say that an NHL player doesn't go through some really hard times to get into the NHL, but most of the stories of minor league players are stories based on grit, hard work, determination, to keep chasing that dream and to keep staying relevant in the sport. With that, let's move on to Devo. Today we've got episode 4's guest. It's been about 6 months. Of course, he's a Philly native. People like to call him a Broad Street Bully. He's not called that. Everyone calls him Devo. Stick to that. Of course, puck moving, gritty offensive defenseman, hockey journeyman, Ice Wars King in 2023. Spent this season in the ECHL with the Kansas City Mavericks. Acquired a month ago by Reading. Now working on his referee certification. Welcome back, Ryan Devine, to Cross Ice Pass.
Well, not the ending to the resume.
Nope.
I was hoping for, but
well,
shit happened.
Well, Ryan, we're going to start with the one thing that we kind of started with before. Your fondest memory that you had in episode 4 was scoring your first pro goal at the same rink as Wayne Gretzky.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that.
Which was pretty cool. But
supposedly,
what's your fondest memory that has happened in the last 6 months?
I would say scoring my first ECHL goal. I had a goal set for the year to have 2 goals and 8 assists. I wanted 10 points. I wanted double digits. And I was freaking close, man.
Yeah.
I think I had 8 points, 1 goal, 7 assists. I'll take it. For
Good
the
minus.
for the hockey players in the world, for the 1%ers that play pro hockey, I would love to know the percentage of the guys that got cut from their D1 club team, played in the GMHL, other than Stepan Timofeyev and like 2 other guys. What the percentages of that, of getting an ECHL goal, let alone playing a game? It's crazy. One percentage of hockey players make it professionally.
Yeah,
not even.
And I mean,
So scoring that goal.
That's a pretty good. It's a pretty good recent memory. I mean, I know that was moving to the ECHL was a big jump for you. You mentioned in the last episode that it was finally getting to play in a bigger city. What was it like making the move? Because right into KC seems like an interesting city. They've had an interesting season.
Yeah, I just saw that they were while I was there. Every game from December 2nd to March 22nd, we didn't lose 1 game in regulation.
Crazy.
Well, everything aside, what happened, I can be proud of that. That was never done that before.
Yeah. No,
been a part of that. Not that I did that. I was on the game sheet for that.
Well, I know that also while you were there, so we talked before, you're like, you're being a Philly fan, even though you got a Rockies hat on. I know that was kind of a funny poke that you had at them, since the Eagles and the Chiefs have a tendency to play a lot. How was did the KC fans accept a true Philly fan?
Well, nobody really was from KC. Like the coaches weren't. Like I don't think our GM was. So it was never really talk about it. I guess it was more in the locker room with other guys that were Minnesota fans and Detroit fans. It was more about like, hey, we don't really care about each other. Like Minnesota and Eagles, like, yeah, we've got the better half of them, but like Detroit fans, like we were pulling for them to win. Like I was like, you know what? I know the Eagles are going to blow it. I was like, I want Detroit to go far. But KC, yeah, I think at the party, did I wear an Eagles hat? I think when I was outside downtown KC watching the game on the big screen, and then when they won, all the fireworks are going off behind it in P&L, Power and Light District. Definitely coolest Super Bowl experience I've had yet was watching it there. That was cool.
I see this green hat in the middle of this crowd.
Yeah, whatever. There was a fight right next to me. And I started recording it. I just thought it was fun. It was one guy was, trying to alpha another dude, and dude said something, and I just watched him punch him right in the nose, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" And then he punched him again, and he's like, "All right, I guess I gotta fight back." Like it was so funny. I was like, this is gonna be a funny fight. So I started recording it. Oh, it was funny.
They were probably both rooting for the same team as well.
Yeah, for sure. They both had cases. It was hilarious. The game hadn't even started yet.
You get the right amount of light beers and people, and you never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
One question I have about kind of, I know moving to the ECHL was a new ground for you. What's like the duties and things they add on to you as a player, like the community duties, and things like that in the community?
Oh, they couldn't have been more respectful and professional, like towards the players and our time of rest and recovery. Obviously it was like, and one thing they the coaches would say about like, hey, talking about, hey, we got this thing. We need 4 guys to do it. I know it sucks. Like they they make a much bigger deal out of it compared to the Fed. They're like, hey, rookies, sign up. Like, I don't care who, just make sure it gets done. Here, they're like, hey, I just need a few guys. It's only going to be 30 minutes. You're petting puppies. Like, and it's like, yo, I'll go for 2 hours. Here, they're like, there was one time there was a meeting and like the GM was coming down and he was like 3 minutes late. And the coach was like, all right, go enjoy your day, fellas. I was like, sick. All right, cool. Like, we'll just reschedule another time. Like, that's awesome. But yeah, I did all the promos I could because they were cool. Like the Wounded Warriors of Kansas City, the guys who have served, and it's not like I wouldn't say it's the handicap team. It's just the guys who going through depression or just post-war syndrome shit. Like we had an event and we went to a cigar lounge where Tad lives across the street downtown. He got his spot because of that. He loves his cigars. So we went and had a few cigars and just shut shit with the Warriors program in KC. And they're like, and that was one where it was like all guys got to go. It was mandatory. And it was like at night. And that was one of those things where it's like, this isn't like a promo to me. This is kind of like a, hey, team event. Come have cigars and share and get free. There's pizza, drinks were free, and playing darts, pool, smoking cigars, hearing stories about these guys. It was like, this isn't a promo compared to, I remember doing a promo in the Fed, right? I was raking leaves. I was cleaning a garden. I was doing chores. But yeah, doing community stuff in the ECHL, I wouldn't say it was much of a hassle. And
Yeah.
just way more respectful. And the higher up it goes, the more they are cautious about our time.
Yeah, and the Warriors program, the USA Hockey kind of Warriors program is great. I got to not only have I had a guy in an episode, Dave Jackal with the Pittsburgh Warriors, but got to meet them a bit in Pennsylvania. And yeah, those guys, the things they do, I know Ryan Malone has a thing as well. Those guys are amazing. So being able to get to do all that community stuff. I know you mentioned to me just before we got started, you had the puppy moment. You had, we'll make sure I have to put it on here, that great Taco Bell outfit. It's unreal.
Oh yeah, I kept that thing.
I would too.
Oh yeah, there was somebody told me something that they had to wear like a shirt underneath there, and it was like I think they were asked to wear like a Taco Bell shirt one night. I didn't notice it, but he gave it back, and I was like, if they asked me to put this suit on, I was like, I'm putting it right in my locker, and just nobody asked me about it. I'm taking it home, and I asked somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, you can keep it too, and I was like, hell yeah, I am. This thing's sick. I'm definitely going skiing in the recent future, and I am documenting me going down the hill in that with the same outfit I did, the glasses and everything, going into the game. That was, I think I got a lot of feedback from that. Guys just laughing, being like, "No way!" Like,
Yeah. When I saw it, when I saw it, I was
chirps,
like, "You got to be kidding me!" When I saw it, I'm like,
"Yeah." Some chirps, obviously, but they're like, "Yeah, it's a Taco Bell night or something." I was like, when they in the beginning of the year, before like we had any games, it was like 3 games in. They're like, "Who would wear this?" And I was like, "I will." They're like, "Okay, cool." I went up with Mark Duquette, and he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." I'm like, sure. I don't need to wear it. Like I'm good. I was like, hell yeah, I'm definitely keeping this thing. But
well, I'm glad the community, the community events and everything else was great, and I'm glad it kind of levels up as it should properly from the Fed. But
Yeah.
like, I
Oh, yeah.
wonder, you know, obviously you're not a rookie at fighting for sure. So kind of just curious because we
Yeah,
we
it was
had talked
different
about
being a rookie in the ECHL.
yeah.
Being a 32-year-old rookie. That was fun.
How was the fighting rules? I mean, it took you a few games before you got a fight into a fight.
Yeah. I will say it definitely altered how shit happens. Like I had to wait for somebody to do something during a play or because couldn't fight off a face off, you would get kicked out. But yeah, having to being as good as we were, I didn't want to take instigators and put my guys down on the PK. And it was different because I also had to play hockey, so guys weren't going to fight me. They use the chirp. They use the same chirp when I was in the Fed. Oh, we want you on the ice. Oh, okay. Well, how come you haven't scored on me? Like, I have more points than you do. Shut up. Fight me. Like, what do you got? Um,
Any of
yeah,
any
it wasn't easy because guys, I guess saw on social media or saw me. It didn't help that the game sheet says 6'5", 240. Even though I wouldn't say fully 6'5", 6'4" plus some centimeters, maybe millimeters. But come on, Johnny Gaudreau isn't 5'9". We all know he's
no.
5'6".
Yeah.
But yeah, guys would use that against me. I'd be like, yo, just give me one. They're like, no, you're 240. I'm like, God damn it. Oh, I'm 236. Chill.
Yeah. It's not, and once they lock up with you, it shouldn't matter. They're not gonna think that that's a problem anyway. They're gonna
I would even use the Sean Thornton. I was like, I'll just use my left hand. I was like, I'll put my right one behind my back. They're like, aren't you left-handed? I was like, no, but I can.
yeah. Yeah, we know
Like,
that. We know that from the Ice Wars for sure. Especially
yeah.
your famous Superman punches. I saw most recently, obviously the season's over now, but I saw you were helping a couple guys, that some rookies on how to fight.
Oh, yeah, and Reddit. Mateo Man. This kid is 6'6", 240 something pounds, and it's not 240 like I am. This guy has legs twice the size of mine, and he has an upper body build, not as I would say as big as mine is. He's definitely strong lower body. His hands though are like anvils. They are. But he's young and he came from the Keel, so he only has 2 fights.
Oh wow.
And he was like, and they were both like stopped by referees, like, um, so he doesn't have much experience like at all. And I was teaching him stuff, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm left-handed anyway." And I was like, "Don't go lefty." I was like, "You don't want to go lefty because that's your secret weapon. Tell people you're righty." I told him, I was like, "Don't tell anybody. Just say you're righty, go righty. And when you go, if you feel him playing defense, switch, go left. And when you do, it'll feel so natural and you'll connect." And I was like, "Bro, you'll go one. And if people ever see highlights of you fighting your first pro career fight, if you start righty, switch and go lefty and knock a guy out, no one's gonna want to fight you." I was like, you'll go right to the show that way. I was like, if you hit and pin guys, hit your first forward, do that, you'll never play another ECHL game again, brother.
Love it.
And he
No,
was
that's
very thankful. He was thanking me. He reached out to me on Instagram, and then I sent him a couple clips, and I was like, this right here, I was like, this is exactly what I was like telling him what to do. And I sent him those like 2 different clips of a guy being scared. And I told him, I was like, bro, you're 6'6", 240. That first game in morning skate, he was like, hey, and like he's looking down at me. I'm not used to this. Like this kid is 19 years old looking down on me, weighs more than me, was a draft pick. And he goes, hey, is it normal that I'm nervous? And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, look at you. I was like, you've been playing with boys. You've been playing with young boys. And now You're playing with young men, and now you're playing with men that still aren't your size. And I was like, what are you nervous about?
Yeah.
Guys are gonna be faster. Yeah. Don't let anybody spin off you. Hit and pin, and just grab a mother and just go. And he played a great game. He was like, hitting and pinning, but there was a play where I stood up and I was like, he didn't do anything. And I was like, buddy, that was your chance. We were told before that weekend that scouts were there to watch some of the guys, and obviously he was one of them. But I told him after this weekend, after like the last game, on our exit meetings, I told him, I was like, hey, that play where the goalie got in there to the goal and you came around and you just grabbed him. And I was like, don't just stop. Like, the refs saw the spear, they saw the poke. You have the green light to go and instigate there. You don't just grab a guy and instigate and start going. The refs like see that crap. Like, if they like where I got my first penalty of the game, the guy stopped right in front of our goal and gave him a poke, and I gave him 3 pushes. But after the 4th push, the ref was like, "All right, just you go." But if you had started fighting, the guy would have at least protected himself, or at least given you just a 2 minutes, like, or got
I imagine in the queue he never gets those kind of moments with refs that are kind of like, okay, we see what's gonna we see what's about what's about to happen. So
I told him, I was like, hey, we'll keep in touch, but I was like, you need to figure out how to flip that switch to that goalie is like your little brother, your kid or something. That's your dog. Like, some dude just stepped on your dog's paw and didn't apologize. Are you kidding me? Make him say he's sorry, or you're gonna pound his face in. Like, you need to find that red, and that kill switch. And he's just too nice. He's such a nice guy. Like,
he's got to have
such a nice kid. He's 19. Jeez.
He's got to have the Kill Bill song in the background or something, you know?
Yeah.
One thing about the tussles you had, I know you had not tons, because I know that there's a limited number that you can have in the ECHL. Any of them stand out? Any guys that were really hard to deal with?
Oh yeah, Dylan Boucher by far.
Yeah.
He was very, very strong. He was a little bit smaller than me, but he was as built and thick, and I only had like maybe 10, 15 pounds on him, but a couple of inches too. But he was both hands and he was strong. So our very first fight, I think, he got the better half of me. And it sucked. I no, I didn't tell you this, but oh no, I think we did talk about it, where we were like, in the ECHL, you get your skates sharpened before, like, in the Fed, I would do it maybe once a week. I wouldn't even know, and they just sharpen your skates. It's kind of nice, but I was getting on some low steel, and I just remember he threw on, and I went for the grab, and I just my momentum went forward, and I could not gain my balance after that, and I've never had that happen before. And then I got new steel, and I fought him again and did much better. So maybe we can use that. That was the excuse.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I noticed I was falling a lot when I was like just playing defense. I was falling forward, and that was the only really fight that I really had. I would say was a loss. But he hit me once as I was falling to the ground in the back of the head. That felt great. But I definitely won the second one, second bout with him. But nothing crazy. I think all 5 fights were against Wichita.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow, I just realized that.
One thing I realized, and I don't know if this is a thing with the new rules and trying to pull fighting out of the game, especially at the ECHL level, it's not easy to find these videos unless someone that's in the stands records them.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you used to be able to find old fights pretty easily. I'd almost have to go into the game and find out where it's at to even see it, but it's a bit of a pain to like see these fights now, because we're apparently we don't want to fight anymore. That's the new game. That being said, I want to mention February 7th, Daniel Lamsbury, who had been banned from the Fed, got signed by Fort Wayne Comets. And when I saw this, I saw the news report, Daniel Lamsbury's going to the ECHL, and I'm like, Devo's. As soon as I thought about you, and I'm like, I gotta look at the schedule. And sure as heck, like there was a game that you guys lined up, and I'm like, this is big. And I think a lot of people that really appreciate that part of the sport of the game, that really expect, two teams to put two heavyweights together, we're ready for it. And then I found out that
Robbed
he
us.
was scratched.
They robbed us. I couldn't believe it. Walking in.
And the thing is, no ill will to anybody, but I'm sure you both were ready for it. It's good. It's good for the game too. It's like, that's an added thing to the game. It's just part of hockey, fighting
We
it.
are in the minor league. I mean, even the NHL, we're entertainers. Everyone has said, yeah, obviously the higher level, it's about skill, but like him and other like players in the league, like Darian Skio and Kyle Newber, like people buy our jerseys for a reason. People are season ticket holders for a reason. Um,
Yeah.
it's part of what people love in the minor leagues is the old hockey. It's what they grew up watching. That's why it's older people or young people that like violence. That's just
And
the way it goes.
it gets
We
more
are
popular,
entertainers. We're getting paid.
every 5 degrees temperatures go down. The more south the sport goes, the more important it is to as part of the game for sure, and like it's I mean, don't get me wrong, you guys played Fort Wayne well. You guys won by one
It was a
goal.
great game.
Yeah, I mean,
and I didn't even play in the third period, which is crazy because that was the only game I didn't play in the third period. So I'm sitting there like looking up at him, like him sitting staring, seeing me just sitting on the bench. It was like, man, like obviously I'm a bit of a better hockey player than he is, but like just to not even touch the ice in the third was hard pill to swallow. But I understood it. It was a playoff, possible playoff matchup. Fort Wayne was, pretty hot. We were hot too. Like I said earlier before we started, that we didn't lose a game in regulation from December 2nd to March 22nd.
Yeah,
which all those games I was a part of. But
for the listeners, Kansas City Mavericks, we're just getting into the playoffs, the ECHL, but they have had one heck of a regular season, a record breaking season, in fact.
So many records.
Yeah.
29 wins on the road. The record was 26. I remember I was there and we got to 26. So they had 3 more since I left. But
well, I think that's a good time to transition. I mean, one thing we talked about, Ryan, before we got on was the fact that, first you already mentioned you loved doing the community work. It was like not even a job. You were having a good time in KC. And then it seemed like social media was trying to kind of push you away from things. The team was. Where from that to kind of, mid-March when, you got the call that you were going to be traded, how did that kind of time go for you?
yeah, waking up, getting that call, and then having the coach of Reading call me saying, "Hey, we're going into a day game in Worcester, but I'll call you in between periods." And then getting off that call, 30 minutes later, and finding out that they want me to fly to Boston that night, that afternoon. So I was like, I didn't even have time to sit and think about it or get mad or, sulk. It all happened so fast. And it is what it is. There's not much I can say
Yeah.
as to why it happened. No reason to drag anybody's name through the mud if I'm still trying to be part of hockey after playing. But yeah, it happened, and I guess I'm thankful that it was 35 minutes from my hometown, so family could come and watch. But um, to be on the best, by far best team in the ECHL, to not making the playoffs. It sucks. In my exit meeting with Reading, I told him, I was like, hey, like, I just want to apologize to you guys. Like, you brought me in to fight and protect the guys. I did protect the guys. I didn't get in one fight, but I will say that trade destroyed me. It truly wrecked me. And that's how I know it's time to retire too. Whether it was because of reffing, but playing, I kind of just lost, the the heart, I guess, to go up.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried, my switch flipped a few times and trying to get a fight because I was trying to get it back, but you know, staying on the ice after practice, I was just, for me, and clearing my head. It was going to the gym, so I just wanted to get off the ice and go to the gym and just put in my headphones and listen to a podcast, or I would be at the gym for 3 to 4 hours and just try to not think about it.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to, and it's gonna be hard to see them because they're watch social media. I know they're gonna win it too. Um, but
Well, the good
yeah,
thing, I mean, the only good thing about this is that sounds like you made a lot of good relationships there on that team. And especially the fact you guys were, a freaking a wagon. Um, hopefully,
so good.
you're not going to be on the ice for it, which is, I'm sure, the number one, a better option. But um, you'll be included in their thoughts for sure, because you were there battling along the way. So hopefully, if not, they can F off, because that's I don't like seeing any player to have to go through that. Even like you say, reading is close to where you grew up. They got their Flyers organization. That was, something, because you're a Flyers kid, but I can't even imagine, getting your hypothetical skates pulled out from under you for a bit. So,
Yeah.
but on that note, one thing about that, Ryan, is that I know that you're kind of working on this. You were talking about it last time, working on this referee moment, thinking about making that kind of part of your next step in your career. But maybe it's too soon to ask if you still want to play down the road or not.
Yeah, I mean, if refereeing didn't work out, and yeah, if it didn't work out, they're just like, you're too old,
Yeah.
which a lot of I've heard guys get turned away at my age, but hopefully my resume will help and the connections that I do have. But yeah, I think I would want a redemption at another year of joining a team, maybe uh, in the ECHL, and trying to make a run. But
Yeah.
like Greenville, go to Greenville, give that a second shot because they wanted me and they're first place in the South. But um, I think finishing hockey on a good note, enjoyable season, not ending the way it did for me, but maybe somewhere in the SP like Knoxville again. But
Mm-hmm.
um, no, I'm pretty invested, and my body hurts. I know it's time to shut it down. Um, I don't think
That's actually what I was gonna ask you about that, because I know that you're really smart about being off ice, taking care of yourself, training and making sure that you can hold up. But I know it's also the end of the season, and you're probably a little banged up now, ready for a little Mai Tai by the beach moments for a moment instead of trying to heal up a bit, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I will say I've never been hit as much than I have this year. Of course, the ECHL, the most games played I've ever played in a season was in the ECHL. And I've never gotten a puck dumped in my corner and hit from behind so many times. Like both of my shoulders, my neck hasn't stopped being stiff since like November. Um, I still have to sleep like this. Like
oh wow.
it's massages. It's just I need my body to completely decompress from getting hit and working out so much. I'm taking it easy now, but yeah, my body, my hands are from block shots and stuff like that. Like I have a block shot on this palm that has not stopped hurting from like I can't lift heavy with it.
Well, it's also it's a
Since
part of your body
January.
that like
Yeah,
you have to use it.
yeah, I know. Since January. Yeah, I just the soreness hasn't it's a lot harder recovering at 32. I will say that.
Yeah. No, I mean you've been you're digging into the heydays of your career now, so it's
Yeah.
totally understandable. Um, as far as the ref certification goes, and I know that that was kind of this thing you've been working on. What is take us through that? Like, what's the steps to kind of doing what steps are you hoping to take with that as far as you get to cert? You
Well, I
know,
was talking to my buddy who knows the senior VP of officiating, and he I messaged him the other day and told him that I've been recently approached about it and um, what do I got to do? He sent him, my name, my height and weight, just played in ECHL, fighter, said all that in the text. And the senior VP said, have him send his resume to so and so. I was like,
yeah,
all right, cool. So I have to do that today. Literally, I have to, as soon as we get off, I'm going to get my resume going for, which I haven't updated since like 2018, 19, since I played in Pensacola. I haven't touched the resume, but going to do that and send it over and hopefully hear back some good news.
yeah, yeah.
that I'm invited to the referee combine.
I was uh I was
That's in
actually
August in
I was actually
Buffalo.
chatting a couple days ago with some guys that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a second talk with Ryan Devine, and I was like, he's really has this theory that, he wants to kind of be a reffing is kind of the next step after he's a player. And everyone's like, oh yeah, have you ever not noticed every single pro ref is tall? And I'm like, well, he's built for it, for sure. So it's gonna be interesting to see you being, it's just like my last the guy I was talking about, Ted Stone. Teddy went from he actually was quoted as, I went from trying to knock guys out to actually get guys out of the hospital. So it's
That's
interesting
great.
when your world kind of flips, contrasted like that.
Yeah, I would love to meet this guy and see what Ted Stone's all about.
Yeah, yeah. He's yeah, he's I'll connect to you for sure. Um so Ryan, we go through this 6 months. I know you had some super highs, some super lows. I know you got your cert you're working on. Anything else you got coming through, or just heal up and see where the summer brings you through?
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping back into things that I've done in recent past. I'm coaching uh, soccer. My high school, my old high school I went to. I probably would have had would have been a better paying career if I chose went overseas and played soccer as a goalie. Wouldn't be the same weight I am now, but if I knew I was going to be the height I am at a younger age, I think I would have invested more in being a soccer goalie because I still love it. That's where I make most of my money in the summer with doing goalie clinics and coaching my old high school soccer team. But other than that, power washing for my best friend and his company. And yeah, reffing men's league. That starts in 2 weeks. It's kind of all over the place.
Any wild fighting events that aren't necessarily a game? Get any wild emails or texts from anybody?
Oh yeah, I got a call like 10 days ago from the president of Ice Wars, Charlie Nama. Always a good phone call with that. Where is he from? Smithers, BC accent. It's crazy. It's so funny. Where you were in? Oh man. I love when he calls. He's just asking. I told him, I was like, hey, you may not be able to have enough pesos to pay me to come, but well, to fight. But talk to me when you're looking for guys because I've got 5-6 guys that could have given me a run for my money at last Ice Wars that will be potential winners, I think, at Ice Wars 4.
Yeah. Well, my hope, and I'm sure a lot of people that are fans of watching good fights in hockey is one of these days there's going to be some event that's going to get you and Diamond Hands together. That would be great. Before you guys are too old to do it.
I think we're already past that.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for chatting with me.
Yeah, of course.
We're it's so great to hear kind of, step by step this journey you're going on. And, I know it's
the books I could write. I could write a whole book about my last roommate in KC. He was only 25 years old, didn't go to college. Just a wonderful human being. I will say that he was quite a pleasure to have as a roommate. The good and bad sides of it. Man, that would be a good guest for you to have on. And this kid and him talk about his OHL days of, he always used to talk about, man, I used to defend the best players that are now in the NHL. It's like, well, they're in the NHL and you're not.
Right.
Where are you going here?
Yeah.
And just the fact that he's only 25 years old asking me, like, hey, is this good to put in the microwave? Can I put this in there? Bro, you're 25.
Yeah.
It's a hard plastic. You're okay. Just, don't put it in there for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't walk away from it. Don't fall asleep from it. Don't, don't leave the gas on.
Just don't go to bed.
That's good. Well, maybe, since he's got his thing going, you never know. It's always good to chat with a new guest. So, I'd love to hear it, and I'll give him maybe we'll make it like a cooking episode or something.
Oh my God. It'd be fun. His name's Ted. Do a TED Talk with TED Talk. Ted Cooks. I don't know, something. I just watched this man make food.
All right, Ryan. Well, thanks so much for taking some time out, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. This was my first time having a repeat chat with one of my guests. other than kind of talking offline or via text or something. I really got this, like, really happy that this idea of kind of going through Ryan's journey is really going to be a fun thing for us to, as Cross Ice Pass, the listeners, to have. Ryan truly showed us the determination that he has had in his year of playing. And he was playing at his highest level of hockey as he's ever played. He also tells us how everything in the season can be going so well. KC was so undefeated, and just you couldn't beat them, and how it can be taken right from you, just by a phone, by your general manager or owners, just picking up the phone and sending you off. We will stay in touch with Devo. By the way, Ryan Devine, I mentioned it in it. A lot of other media, a lot of other things in the ECHL and stuff like that, Ice Wars, all this other stuff. Listen, everyone calls him the Broad Street Bully. He's not. That's not his nickname. If you know him, his nickname is Devo. That's what he likes to be called. Stop calling him the Broad Street Bully. He's been very nice at most media, asking them about that nickname, but that nickname was not something that he built himself. So Devo, hopefully we'll keep with that. We're going to stick with his journey, though. Hopefully the next thing we'll be hearing is that maybe leading into next season, whether he's playing, whether he's fighting, whether he's coaching, whether he's reffing, we'll see. We will hear more about what is happening and where Ryan Devine is at on Cross Ice Pass. He's a big part of our lineup of guests that we've had, and I'm excited to hear continue hearing more about him. So that's it. Today's the day, folks. Enjoy round 1, and we'll see you in episode 28. Don't forget, subscribe or comment below. Check Cross Ice Pass on Apple and Spotify as well. Definitely check all of our other great podcasts that the Hockey Podcast Network has. I'll make sure the link to their site is below, so you can go through, listen to podcasts about your team specifically. Listen to podcasts from anywhere from Terry Riley to, there's so many great podcasts and so much great content from all these shows and all these great ideas in the Hockey Podcast Network. And I can't wait to hear more from you guys and see what you think about it. Don't forget, it's up above. Don't forget the DraftKings code THPN for your playoff betting needs. I hope some of my choices make their way in the right direction, but we shall see. See you on the wing. Waiting for that Cross Ice Pass, guys. Have a great night. Take care.